Hello.
Hi everybody. We are in Rick's office again. Welcome to the office, mainly because we've got all our children cleaning and tidying up
the house.
in the kitchen. There's no room for us, but it's a nice bribe, isn't
Just have
it?
a look. They don't appear to be doing anything.
Great. It's a nice bribe saying, we're going to go and record church.
Yeah.
You need to tidy up,
Yeah.
otherwise you can't have a film night.
Yeah, oh, a little bit of movement.
Okay, this is great. So I feel like there's loads to tell you. First of all, it occurred to us that one of our main forms of getting information is a WhatsApp broadcast that we've got, a living room WhatsApp broadcast. It's not a chat, though there is a chat if you want to join that. It's not a chat, the broadcast, it's just for info. And we kind of just thought, oh, there might be people watching who don't even know about that.
Yeah.
So if you want to join the WhatsApp broadcast, you're not going to get bombarded with loads of messages. You're just going to get important info and heads up on things. If you want to be part of that, just get in touch with us. Message us on the Facebook page. Get in touch with us. Email us.
Yeah.
And so last week we told you about Christmas. So we've got lovely cosy Christmas evening on the 20th.
Yeah.
What time's that?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And then on the 13th, we've got the children's Zoom Christmas party.
4:30.
4:30. You need to sign up for that this week. So we need to know who's coming by next Sunday. You can sign up by messaging the broadcast, messaging the Facebook page, emailing us at
info@thisisthelivingroom.com,
or getting a message to us anyhow. But you've got to book your child's place by next Sunday. Otherwise, they won't have everything they need, because we're going to be delivering packs of all the stuff that they need. And we need to have a chance to organise it and get it ordered as well. Cool. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
But make sure you book your children in. That's the end of me.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm going to talk about today.
Good.
So today we're going to do something slightly different. Last week we talked a bit about a blog that we'd read, and we put the link out there for you to be able to read it yourself. This week we've done a little interview with Hannah, who wrote the blog, just to kind of get a little bit of background to that, and also talk a little bit about the response that she's received, and also a little bit of hope for the future for
Always
the church
good.
as well, which is good. So what we're going to do is, after this, we'll go straight into Hannah's the interview with Hannah. And then after that, we're going to just have one song, and then we'll pop up at the end just to say goodbye.
Yeah,
so should we go
sounds
straight
good.
to that?
We should go straight into that, although I've just thought we haven't even mentioned the fact that all the restrictions about Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. We're praying for you. We're praying for ourselves to try and work out how we do this.
Yeah.
Just didn't want to not acknowledge that, because that's quite a big deal this week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great.
And we're tier 3.
We're tier 3.
So anyway, if you need anything, get in touch.
Do please get in touch. We love you. We know there's people who are suffering already at the minute with stuff, and we love you. Let's hear from Hannah, shall we? Good.
So Hannah, welcome to the living room. It's so brilliant to have you with us. We'll be going live on a Sunday morning, so it's weird that we're both sat in the darkness. And everyone knows that we don't do things live. So that's cool. We really wanted to talk to you off the back of your blog that you did last week. It was really inspiring. We talked a bit about it in our kind of Sunday like online get together last week, and I shared it with people kind of within the living room, people who follow what we're doing, and I really hope that that's been a kind of real source of inspiration and real challenge for them as well. But we thought we'd pick your brains just to get a bit of your perspective, really, seeing as I know you, and we can get direct access to the author. Do you want to give us a little bit of kind of background as to, I suppose, you and how you got to writing that blog, and I suppose what made you want to say those things, really?
Yeah. So firstly, thank you for having me. It's great to be with you and share with you. I'd love to meet you all at some point, but for now you'll just have to look at me. So yeah, I'm Hannah, and I have been involved in church since I was 7 days old. So I've grew up kind of in quite a small church in Southampton, and then moved up to Manchester, and I've been to a number of different churches and been involved in lots of churches, both just sort of attending and being a member and part of the congregation, and I've also been involved in church leadership as well, sort of heading up pastoral care for the church that I'm in now. And so I think I've seen many different expressions of church, many wonderful things. And so I think that's why I grapple so much with the painful stuff, because I think it's difficult looking at that when you know how much good there is within the church, and how much God loves the church, and how much hope there is, and how much kindness there is. And so to come in and write some really quite mean things about the church is not something that I took lightly. It isn't something that I just sort of, you know, on a whim just jotted it all down. And I think I think the blog was part of a journey that I've been going on, I guess really my whole life, of saying, okay, so much of what the church does, who the church is absolutely brilliant and absolutely wonderful, but also balancing that with the knowledge that it has been a source of pain for people, and a source of heartbreak, and a place that holds really bad memories for a lot of people. So I think during lockdown, being able to step out of the sort of normal church attendance, and I've struggled to get online. I've got 2 young children, and my husband works every Sunday morning, so I haven't been able to engage in church like I normally would have done. And I think actually sometimes it's, you know, taking that time out and taking some time for reflection, and just pausing something allows you a little bit of breathing space to have a think of, okay, what is this that I'm attending every Sunday and have done for my whole life? What is this that I'm a part of, and do I still want to be a part of that? And I think what I felt was the answer is absolutely yes, I want to be a part of the church. There's no part of me that wants to reject Jesus, that wants to leave my faith, but I want to be a part of something that I think reflects Christ better than I've seen it do. And I think although there is just a million brilliant things about the church, I have seen people walk through such deep pain that I just felt like this needs addressing. And I think part of that was linked with Donald Trump, bless him. And I think it's looking at power, and that those power imbalances. And then a good friend of mine I quoted in the blog had posted an article about religious trauma, and reading that was just a real eye-opener of actually there's a lot of people investing a lot of money into counselling for the trauma that they've experienced within the church, and how can that be right? And so I think my own personal experiences, because there has been some really painful times that I've gone through, as well as the experiences of friends and of people I know, and then more widely the publication of the report into child sex allegations, and then, you know, even wider than that, the sort of corruption within churches all over the world that I have insight into through various means, and then just looking at the kind of political landscape globally as well, and the importance of good leadership, especially in something like a pandemic, and Donald Trump and his response to the election. And I just thought that, you know, that this, on every level, there are power imbalances, and I do see that within the church as well. And I feel passionately that needs to be addressed for the benefit of the church. And so while I don't want to decry the church, I don't want to bring it down, what I want is a better version of what the Bible talks about as the bride of Christ. I think, you know, if we are supposed to mimic Jesus, if we're supposed to be like him, and that love is the greatest commandment, how have we got it so horribly wrong a lot of the time? And and what hope is there in that? Because there has to be hope in that, because if there isn't hope in that, it's not something I want to be a part of. But I do want to be a part of it, and I do see hope.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think having read it a few times myself, I found it really resonated. So much of it resonated with me and really made me think. And it's very much kind of my journey as well. And what I feel passionate about is almost reclaiming that word of church to be something that doesn't represent things like fear or judgment or rejection, that actually is a place of hope and is a place where people can find purpose. Talk to us a little bit about some of the response. I know you can't really kind of break any confidences, but talk to us about the response that you've received. Because when you throw something out on social media, the amazing thing is it can go to all sorts of random people who would never engage in a conversation about this kind of stuff, might not ever like or comment on something publicly, but I know you got a load of messages from people. Talk a little bit about the response that you've had.
I think the response has been incredible. I am not a huge blogger. I've written a few blogs over the years. I'm not consistent. I'm not paid by anyone. I don't have, the people that read my blog are people on social media and anyone who my direct contacts share it with. So, I'm not some major influencer. I'm not some major blogger. And over the years, I've put several things out, and some, you kind of watch your WordPress stats and although everybody likes to say, oh no, I don't watch them at all, everybody's sort of, double clicking on it all the time. Who's been reading it? Is it, because you want people to engage with what you've written. And I do think there has been an incredible response, and some of it has been, this is how I feel. You've articulated how I feel. You've articulated what I've seen. And I think I haven't really had, I've had one slightly negative experience, but just really as a conversation starter. But apart from that, there's just been an overwhelming amount of agreement of, yes, this is our experience. This is our hope. This is the dream that we share. And I think, we're going to talk a bit in a minute, but there's an analogy of a party and Jesus being the host of the party. And I think loads of people have really, really recognized that and said, yeah, this is what we want. We want this. We want church to be Jesus's event, Jesus's party, where Jesus is the only power, where Jesus is in charge, and that's been really encouraging for me, that I think there is a united front of people who want to see God's church become more beautiful than it is, and who also recognize that there's a lot of beauty in it. And there has been some heartbreaking messages. So a friend of mine, I'll just read you, I've just got a message. She hasn't been to church for many years. She went as a child, and she messaged me saying, I've just wept reading your blog. When I was younger, I was asked to leave my church following a horrendous event. One weekend, we were all asked to attend on a Saturday evening with no explanation. A dear friend of mine was called with his girlfriend, and one of the church elders stood between them and announced that in a moment of weakness, they had gotten pregnant. They weren't married. And we had been called to hear their explanation and to ask for our forgiveness. I was gobsmacked. I remember sitting there thinking, what on earth is this? As I watched person after person go forward and accept their apology and say they were forgiven, I cried and cried. I was 18. I stood up, and as I approached them, I said, congratulations, you'll both make wonderful parents. And I hugged them both. And she was ushered out of the church after that. And I thought, oh my goodness, it's a biblical tale. If Jesus was there, he would be doing the actions of my friend. He would be going up and hugging them and saying, you'll make wonderful parents. And I just thought, this is what would Jesus do? And I think that is to coin a very, very old phrase. If you've not been in the church long, there was a time maybe 20 years ago where everybody had rubber bracelets that said WWJD on. What would Jesus do?
Yeah.
And everyone enthusiastically wore them in the summer and then was too embarrassed to wear them when they went back to school. But I do think that is such a critical phrase. What would Jesus do? What does Jesus's church look like? How does Jesus respond? So the church is complex and it's difficult, and there are tensions, and we're human, and there are struggles to overcome. But I do really believe that it's his church, and we are mere facilitators for the host, who is Jesus. And so I think that the overwhelming response was that, you know, people were in agreement. What now? What next? And I don't for 1 minute believe that one blog is going to change the culture of church. but I think there is a kind of rising up of an army of people who want to see love reign, and who want to see the church become more like that which God intends.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting with kind of coming out of hopefully coming out of lockdown at some point in the next year, people choosing about what they're going to do and how they're going to spend their time. I think people will be more selective about what they commit to, and how much time and energy and effort, finance they commit to different things. So maybe it is kind of, we're primed for an interesting time ahead.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about, you mentioned before about the party. Talk to us a bit about, what I loved about this is it feels like it's a hopeful message for the future for church, that yeah, we can see, in a way, the sad thing about the response you've had is the number of people who've either been hurt or harmed or damaged, and that kind of trail of devastation that's left behind is all too clear to see when you get those kind of responses. But there is hope for it. Talk to us about the party.
Well, I think it goes back to power, and I think for many churches there's been there's been less of a family approach and more of a corporate approach. And I think, you know, if there is an issue in our household, in our house, we live with my husband's dad and our 2 children, and so there's 5 of us, and you know, and sometimes tensions rise because we're human and we're family, and we would, you know, we live and die for each other, but you have struggles to overcome. And as a family, what you don't do is say, it's too much, you need to go. And I know that happens, but really, as a family, the best thing that can happen is that conflict and that difficult situations are resolved within the family. And sometimes that requires outside help, and sometimes that requires, you know, investment from other people and support. But ultimately, you know, if we have we had a situation arise a while ago, and we sat down as a family, and involved our kids, and then sent them off to do something else, and then we as the adults sat down and talked about it. And I think it's family, and I think the party and the family go hand in hand, because when you're partying, it's a kind of relational event, isn't it? It's, you know, it's something that isn't corporate, but it's relational. And so with Jesus, he's the one who invites us to his party. He's the one that hosts it. And I think sometimes in church what's happened is that so much pressure has been placed on leaders, and so much pressure has been either taken by people or given, or a bit of both, to say, you have to have everything right, you have to make the tough decisions, you have to decide everything. And that's a huge amount of pressure. And actually it's become just like a really intense, structured, you know, ordered thing where this has to happen and this has to happen, and the pressure on people to make all the decisions is immense. Whereas if you have a party, firstly, it's more light-hearted and there's freedom in that, and you know you're there to have a wonderful time. You don't, you know, you go to work and you expect it to be hard and pressurized. But you go to a party, and even if you're hosting the party, even if you're running the party, you expect to have a wonderful time, and the intention is celebration, and let's have fun, let's dance, let's sing, let's get everybody involved. And I think it's to take the what I want to see is less pressure on people to have to perform, and less pressure on people to have to get it all right, and less pressure on people. And it's Jesus who holds the responsibility. It's Jesus who holds the power. It's Jesus whose job is to condemn and to correct, and he invites us into that. He invites us to walk with him in the running of his household, in the running of his party, but ultimately he is in charge. And if his greatest commandment is love, then that is our baseline, foundational, everything we do comes from that place. And so yeah, it's just, I guess it's just making sure that we don't take power away from Jesus, and we don't mute the family by saying the leaders have to have it all right, the leaders have to make all the decisions. We say we're a family, let's all get involved, let's all have the conversations. And I know the reality of that. I know that that's a really, really tricky thing to walk. It's a really, really hard thing to do, but I just think, at the very baseline, we say, right, does this resemble Jesus? Does it look like his party? If not, then what's happened? Let's address it.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. It's so much better than kind of me trying to regurgitate what you'd said. And it's just really good to hear hear your passion and your kind of your drive to I suppose want to see things change, and that important thing of not settling for something that has kind of worked a certain way for a certain amount of time, and just expecting that that's okay for the future. That the sense that let's keep assessing things, let's keep reviewing things, and let's kind of ask those difficult questions and push when we're seeing things that don't seem right. And well done for being brave. And I'm sure there'll be so many people who will have read your blog who feel really heartened by the fact that someone else who still believes in God and still loves Jesus gets where they're coming from. And I think in those moments where it feels like it's difficult and your head's above the parapet and you're potentially being shot down, it's important to remember all of those people. So thank you for being brave, and really proud of what you've done.
Thank you.
Scars remind me of your faithfulness. Tell a story of your love. Carry them as a testament to you. They're a sign that I am yours. For everything you've brought me through, my heart sings out in praise. And for every trial I've overcome, I'm thankful. For on the cross, the victory you won for me. Jesus, I love you. I love you, Jesus, I love you, yes, I love you. Shaped by the battles that I fought, and left me bruised. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I love you. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, I look at my scars and remember your love. Oh, I think of the cross and remember all that you've done. For you brought me through the valley to a place of rest. You prepared a table for me in the presence of my enemies. Oh, I look at my scars and remember your love. Oh, I think of the cross and remember all that you've done. For you brought me through the valley to a place of rest. You prepared a table for me in the presence of my enemies. And for everything you brought me through, my heart sings out in praise. And for every trial I've overcome, I'm thankful. For on the cross, victory for me. Jesus, I love you. I love you. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Yes, I love you. My scars remind me of your faithfulness. They tell a story of your love.
It's so great just to hear direct from Hannah about, I suppose, some of her motivation and the heart behind what she
She's
wrote.
very good.
Yeah, and I do think it is brave when you step out and
Yeah.
do stuff. It's a vulnerable place to be when you kind of call out things that maybe need to be challenged and questioned. So thank you, Hannah, for being so brave and sharing that with us. So we're just going to pray because we want God to be a part of everything that we do. So let's just finish with a prayer and then you can go and get on with your weeks. So let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for our time together today. I pray as people ponder the things that they've heard, think about the kind of challenges that maybe Hannah has shared through her interview. God, I pray that you would speak to each of us and that you would be with each of us. And that as we're all trying to adjust to these various restrictions and the way the world's working at the moment, God, just be close to us. I pray you give us the courage to reach out to other people and ask for help if we need to, or notice when the people around us might need some care and some support. So be right with us in everything that we do. Amen.
Amen. Love you all. See you next time.
See you.